Welcome, friends, it's the MovieFilm Podcast. MovieFilm Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about the movies. MovieFilm Podcast on the radio.
Welcome to Movie Film. It is episode 269. I am Zachy Hassan, and boy, howdy, am I glad to be talking to my friend Brian Hall.
Me too, Zachy. I had a feeling. Actually, I didn't text you last night because I got back from an event a little late. But I had this is so specific. I don't need to be this specific. But I got home. I was washing my hands, and I thought, man, I miss Zachy. And I was like, knew we were going to record the next day today, and I was like, I almost texted you just like, I can't wait. But I think it's because my hands were wet. I didn't. But I am so happy to be here recording.
Most people think of me when they're wiping their ass. So washing their hands, I'll take it. Honestly, it's a step up for me.
Yeah. Well, and we say this every episode now, but it's been sort of like a busy period for us these days, and I just want to thank everybody because we still get so much engagement with the things that we post, and I know how I look forward to seeing things pop up in my podcast feeds and whatnot, and I appreciate the patience of everybody out there, and I hope that are still enjoying what we are able to put out, and looking forward to getting out a bit more with regularity.
It has been a hectic couple of weeks for the both of us with our various non-podcasting actual like making money endeavors that right. life requires. And I know last time when we recorded, I was like, and coming up on May 4th, we have our commentary track for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. That did not happen, but I would say, Brian, for a very good reason, because we were going to drop it on May the 4th. Right? And I said, you know what? On May the 4th, people should not be listening to our Last Jedi commentary. They should be watching Star Wars: The Young Jedi Adventures.
Yes, that's right. Young Jedi Adventures dropped officially on May the 4th on Disney Plus and Disney Junior, and that was super exciting. That night, some of us, kind of got together and celebrated. And then last night, actually, the event I was at last night was our big premiere party. And this being a show that existed mostly, production mostly through COVID, we don't have a lot of opportunities to be together. And last night was a really, really nice night of having the whole gang together. People from Lucasfilm and Disney and production and artists and directors and writers and actors. The talent was there, and it was a really, really nice celebration having everyone together. And there's been so much to celebrate. I mean, I have to say it's been amazing seeing people responding to the show so positively. I've been getting texts from people of all ages, people with kids and people who do not have kids, saying that they've been enjoying the show and sending me pictures of their kids watching the show. And I know the numbers on the shorts on YouTube are like ridiculous, like 40 million plus or something like that.
Amazing.
So it's incredible. And it's just to see it, a lot of work has gone into the show, making it the best thing possible. And just seeing the positive responses has been so gratifying. So yeah, that was my May the 4th.
It sounds like a good one to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did you did go to see Return of the Jedi in the theater, right?
I did. I made it, I think, the last possible night. And wait, did we talk about it? Oh no, we went the same night.
We texted about it, but we didn't talk about it.
Yeah, we didn't even know it, but we walked out at almost the exact same time.
That's right.
Yeah. How was it for you?
I mean, our theater, it was packed.
Really?
Packed to the gills. And the crowd is really into it. And I said this on social media. At the end of the film, when Anakin's Force Ghost comes up, this is the Hayden Christensen one, the whole crowd busted out into applause.
That's so nice.
It made me feel really warm and fuzzy. And it also made me think back to the many times you and I have discussed the specific change in that movie, where initially it was Sebastian Shaw and then they swapped out Hayden Christensen. I remember saying way back then, I was like, that's one change. I get it. And I think it'll make sense for audiences moving forward. And so hearing that applause felt like a validation of that feeling for me.
Totally. And I mean, I'm not going to try to rewrite history. I had my issues with it. And that stems from, that's just not the version I grew up with. Like seeing the actor who literally Luke had just been looking at face to face, 3 scenes previous, like that just made more sense to me on so many other levels. But with time, I can appreciate putting all those 6 films together, the continuity, that would come from that. And so, and now seeing that there are so many people that like in your theater applauding for it, I mean, it makes me happy.
It's also, watching Return of the Jedi, you appreciate how, like, for a long time that was the end of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was okay too, like, I think, we talk about this a lot, like sort of, the value of having something sort of stretch into the horizon forever versus just, nope, this is it. And now whatever happens next just exists in your imagination.
Right.
And that's not meant to be a comment on the sequel films, but more like, for a long time, that's just what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I think based on the reaction of that crowd, they still value the feeling of that ending.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. I had a blast watching it. I had this funny feeling when it started where, when you go to a movie theater, by and large, you're just about to watch something that's completely new to you, And so when it started and Star Wars, in big yellow letters goes, and then it's like Return of the Jedi and it has all the text, and then the, Vader shuttle is like, oh, like, no, I know this like the back of my hand,
Right.
But it was just in this crazy new setting where I can't remember though. I guess probably 97 was the last time I saw it in theaters, and that was on film, and which,
Crazy, right?
whatever it was. But like now it's like these huge digital projection, crazy Atmos sound, whatever it was. And I mean, it was seriously like a warm hug. I loved it. I loved watching it, but just the sounds. I mean, I could like, people can recite dialogue from a film. I could almost like make the noises throughout the entire film just because I know them so well. So yeah, it was a really special experience. And I love that they do it. I hope, I want them to keep doing this with all of them, honestly.
Yeah, I took 3 of my kids, which I talked about last time. My second one was like, why?
Yeah, that was so funny.
He's just a godless heathen, that kid. But but my oldest, he's 16, and he's always said Return of the Jedi is his favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was fun watching it with him because now he's like a grown up now, like,
yeah.
And he has now grown up with these movies, right? So it's, when you think about it, him watching Jedi now at this age is like us watching the special editions in the theater.
Totally. Which felt like a special event. Like they were already movies we knew backwards and forwards, but it was a special event. So that's so cool. He got to have that.
I've said this. I think I've said this on the show before, but I still remember when he was just a little teeny tiny. He must have been 4 years old, and he had one of those Play School Millennium Falcon toys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's like flying around, and then he takes the radar dish and he snaps it off. It's like it has a little thing, it detaches. He takes it off and he goes, "That was too close."
Oh, that is my heart. That's amazing.
It was like 4.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it's
the stuff that stays with you.
Yep. Oh, that's so great.
What else have you seen?
Well, as per usual, I'll give a very, very brief Yellowstone update because I know no one else is on my timeline with this. But because I've mentioned it so many times, and it is in the news these days.
It is suddenly a topic of conversation, yeah.
Yeah, which actually stems to a whole larger thing with the WGA. But I finished... Well, I'm caught up, I guess I should say. I finished the first half of season 5, and I'm there. So
now you too are waiting for Kevin Costner to figure out what the hell he's gonna do.
Yes, and it's I look forward to
you and Taylor Sheridan both. You're in the same.
Yeah. No, I mean this really did become like my, I don't want to call it junk food, but like comfort food or something. Like at the end of the day, pop this on and watch 2, maybe even 3 of them sometimes. And it's, I went on some Reddit threads now that I was all caught up and I knew stuff wouldn't be spoiled. And I was noticing that people were sort of, as with any show, they're like, oh, it's starting to go downhill and whatever. And I was like, I was having some feelings in the back of my mind, feeling like, oh, this feels like they're stretching more than usual, or this, I'm not as compelled by this or whatever. But like, I have to say, I wasn't viewing it that way. Like, I wasn't being critical of it. I was just enjoying the vibes. And I never got tired of the vibes, even though I was like, I'm not crazy about this plot line, or we can move forward with this. I'm like, why does Casey have a connection with a wolf? That's weird. Whatever. Like, it's like, I just rolled with it. I look forward to rolling with whatever comes next once it's available. So yeah. And you're in 4, right? Season 4?
Season 4, correct. Yeah, we hit pause, but I'm very much looking forward to getting back to it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny, the Jamie Beth stuff, like, just gets to these almost like cartoonishly, sort of like levels of just like villainy and hatred, whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely, it reaches a point with Jamie where you're like, God damn, just leave him alone.
I know. Or like him, I'm like, just move. Like, move.
It's so, there was the one episode, this is not Jamie and Beth, it's where where Casey and his wife are in one tent, and then John and his girlfriend are in a tent next door, and they both like screwed like next to each other, basically. And again, this is I always ask a question. I'm like, is that a thing white people do? Just like
dude, I'm actually like trying to decide whether I have to tell a story. When I was younger, there was like that event where you'd like be at a sleepover and your friend had like HBO for the weekend or Cinemax or something, and then it'd be like, dude, there's like one of those movies on late at night, and so you'd be like at this sleepover and you're like 12 years old, and you're like, all right. And so you're watching this, and it's like, obviously we now know that those movies are just like bonkers excuses to get from one like sex scene to the next or whatever. But like, I remember there was this one scene where there was like, it was like this like these parents and then like their kid who was like, like 30 or something, and like his girlfriend, and they started like feeling each other up or whatever. And I remember thinking like, is this what adults do? I was like, this is weird. So, I mean, according to the Duntons, maybe.
Okay, well, it's good to know. It's good to know. But I mean, that has been in the news that Kevin Costner is out, and either by choice or by virtue of the studio being like, you know what, we're done with you.
Yeah, going to be kind of interesting. I mean, he's got a lot going on, right? I mean, he's got this divorce going on, and very likely and fairly people are like, does it have to do with the show? Is it like he doesn't like being away for so long? Like, there's just all these things swirling around him at the moment. And he has his movie that he apparently has already shot, but he wants to do another one, and he's already casting it, which he said then would make him busy through this October, but they want to have the new Yellowstone episodes airing in November, so it just sounds kind of messy.
Well, and I think that the success of the prequels sort of made him more expendable.
Sure.
Like, I think he'd be in a better negotiating position without those prequel shows.
Yeah, sure.
Because suddenly now it's like, oh, the brand means more than the person in it.
Yeah. Which I have not gotten to those yet, but I know you've highly recommended them to me. So
I fully expect you'll enjoy those. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thankful to have them. And I'm trying to imagine the show without him, because, there are a lot of other characters that I really enjoy. And I mean, he really is this sort of center to it all that I also enjoy. But I guess Matthew McConaughey is coming on, and I do like him, but that is such a different energy. And I'm just trying to wrap my head around that.
See, I think they should do something completely nuts and just say like John Dutton's spirit was transferred into this new body. Like just something completely nuts, and just roll right through it. Like everything from this point on is totally normal and grounded, except for this total sci-fi conceit.
I am all for it. I am all for it. Wait, did I ever tell you? I probably said this on the podcast before. This is like a total tangent, but this is the forum. I always had this idea I thought would be so funny to write a movie, and I don't know why I think of this one in particular. But do you remember the movie Unfaithful with Diane Lane and Richard Gere?
Yeah. That's right.
So basically, she has an affair, and it's this very adult, grounded drama about the effects of that on her, the effects of that on her husband, and how they reckon with it. And I always thought it would be really funny to write a movie like that. But she has this crazy animated sidekick. So like at the beginning,
That's like the Great Gazoo or something.
Exactly like that. So she's having this affair, and he's just like, "What are you doing?" And then she's just like, "Quiet you!" And she like shoves him down, and she has this affair. And then like she's driving home, having her thing. In the movie, she's on a train, and then he's just like, "I can't believe this. We got to tell John," And but then he disappears in the middle of the movie. And the rest of the movie is deadly serious. And so when the movie ends, you're like, that was really well done. But if I remember correctly, wasn't there a weird cartoon spaceman at the beginning of that? It's just an experiment to see what that does to an audience. So if anyone wants to invest in that...
And he's got to sound like Jimmy Stewart.
Totally. Yeah. Gone without explanation in the middle.
On that note.
Yeah, I've also watched some other things. Which one first? Okay, so speaking of things that aired a long time ago and have tangential relations to the Paramount Network, I watched The Offer, which is a limited series about the making of The Godfather. And I was interested in this when it came out. I guess it was last year it came out, and it's
probably to tie in with the 50th anniversary, right? So last year.
I see. Yeah. And it's told from the point of view of the producer of the film, Al Ruddy, played by Miles Teller. And I had thought it looked cool, and then reviews came out and people seemed pretty cold on it. And I have to admit that and I think there was a lot of sort of what's going on with like Tetris and those sorts of things where people are like, well, yeah, there's some kernels of fact in here, but a lot of it's embellished or made up and whatnot. And I think that just made me kind of put it to the side, and it was always like 4th or 5th or 6th on my list. And, but just for some reason I had an inclination to start it, and Federica and I watched it, and dude, I blazed through it in, I think 2 days. Yeah. I like on a weekend, I just sort of was like, this is what I'm doing. And so I ended up watching all of it. And look, I am sure it is all from Ruddy's point of view. Some of it doesn't line up with things that I've read, right. And what do I know? But, and it could be very Tetris-like, where it is just sort of this, embellished sort of version of the truth to make an interesting 10-part or whatever, 8-part story. But I enjoyed the crap out of this, and it's super watchable, especially if you're interested in filmmaking and just seeing sort of the trials of pre-production, production, post, like all the people you have to deal with. And by the way, Robert Evans is like one of the main characters in here, who's a real life figure, and he's played by Matthew Good. And Zachy, I could not get enough of Robert Evans in this show. I told Federica, I was like, I would watch another show. They need to make another show just where he's the lead. Like Matthew Good as Robert Evans is so delicious and delightful and engaging that I actually, when I was on the last couple episodes, I turned to Federica and I was like, I'm going to miss him. Like I loved watching him so much. He was so entertaining. And Dan Fogler, I mean, looks so much like Francis Ford Coppola. That was interesting. And Mario Puzo is kind of a fun character. And then there's a whole mob element to it, right? And that's a big part of at least the television show. I don't know how much all of that happened, but Yeah, it's on Paramount Plus, and it is for people. I'd say especially for people who are either A, fans of The Godfather, or B, really interested in the nuts and bolts of just the process of filmmaking. I found it super engaging. I gobbled it up. So I'd be curious what you think.
That has been on my list. It's definitely not like, I don't want to watch it, but it's just like it keeps, what I've learned is that when I put something in my to watch list, that's the way of ensuring I will not watch it.
Yeah, sure.
Like if you want to ensure, like I'll never get to it, just add it to my queue. So it's been sitting in my queue since it came out.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I don't know what sparked me to it. We were looking for something. I think I just saw the little tile of it on the Paramount thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of weirdly in that mood. Like, might not have been a week earlier, might not have been a week later. You just kind of have to be in that zone.
Yeah.
But anyway, this.
By the way, Robert Evans does it evoke the Patton Oswalt routine that he has, where he has got a whole riff about Robert Evans. Have you ever heard that?
I have, and I have to admit, I can't replay it in my mind at the moment, but I did listen to the audiobook, The Kid Stays in the Picture, which I highly recommend for people. I was working on a movie and with the editorial staff, and they were like, have you ever seen Kid Stays in the Picture? And I was like, no. And they're like, oh, they were all like, they're like, don't watch the movie, listen to the audiobook. And then someone actually bought me the audiobook. They're like, listen to this. So and the film, the documentary, is basically a truncated, version of the audiobook, basically. But yes. So I know his cadence and like his sort of the way that he speaks, and it was just so much fun watching Matthew Good do it. But yeah. Okay. So you see this on the Google Doc here, my list. I watched Jury Duty, but not the 90s Pauly Shore movie.
Revisiting Pauly Shore's 1990s output. All right.
I decided to go through the Pauly Shore canon. Yeah.
You celebrate his entire catalog, right?
Exactly.
Next up, Biodome.
I know, and I remember the trailer for this and the whole joke. I think it came out in like middle 90s, and the whole thing was at the beginning. He's like, run, OJ, run. And it's like one of those things where that trial was going on and that wasn't in the script. And they're like, just do like an OJ thing and we'll throw it in the trailer and everybody will show up. It was that. But no, this is actually a reality show that I'd been hearing about. It's on Freevee, which I will admit I don't fully understand what that is. It could be its own app, but we watched it through Amazon.
You can watch it through both. Yeah, it's owned by Amazon.
I see. Okay. But so even on Amazon, there are ads, which is kind of a bummer, but it is what it is. But the whole thing about this is it's a reality show, I guess, quote unquote. And this guy signed up to be a part of a documentary about the jury process. So it's like, there's going to be a trial. You show up and maybe you'll be selected for this jury. And we're going to film from the beginning of choosing the jury, the trial, and then afterwards. And you'll do these little, talking head testimonials, and we'll pay you X amount of money for that. So this kid shows up for this, but the whole thing is that's not what's happening. It's actually sort of like the Joe Schmo show, if you remember that, where it's all fake. And so every single person in the courtroom, all the jurors, the judge, the lawyers are all actors. And he's the only real person who's going through this process. And one of the jurors is James Marsden, like playing himself, but he's playing this like heightened dickish version of himself. And so you're watching this kid like think that he's experiencing this real, and they get sequestered. So he's stuck with this jury and James Marsden and this like crazy trial and all these wacky characters that they try to put in front of him to see how he'll react to them.
And then periodically a CGI Sonic the Hedgehog. Hey, what are we going to do now, James? And then just disappear.
Well, that's why I loved it. No, but what the surprising thing about it, and I think why everybody's talking about it, is they could not have picked a more nice person to put through this experience, because he is so nice and he treats everyone with so much respect. And they admit later in the show that they put this one kid in a room next to him because they thought this person would drive him crazy, but he ends up like trying to make the kid feel better about himself, you know, and all his sort of picadillos. And it's like, well, that's what makes you special, you know, kind of a thing. And I think, you know, the filmmakers are like, holy cow, like this guy's like really nice. And, and you can kind of see his like growing disappointment. You know, he's excited to meet James Marsden, but there's this growing disappointment that he's kind of a dick, you know, and just like, you know, and it's, you know, when people are having a hard time, he'll just put his hand on their shoulder. And so it becomes this really compelling, sweet sort of experiment that you're watching of this nice person being put through this weird trial, so to speak. It's really light. It's really lighthearted and gentle and nice. And I think Federico went into it like, nah, we'll see. I had read a couple things about it that had got me into it. And then it became like our, you know, while we were right after dinner, we just like watched 3 or 4 of them. And it was just like this feel good, you know, thing that we enjoy for a couple days. It's only like 8 episodes, I think. But yeah, I definitely recommend it for, if that sounds intriguing to anybody. It's just a nice, sweet little gem of a show.
I have just added it to my queue, so I will never watch it.
Yeah. And then I think, I was just going to mention, because you had watched it recently, but I watched Memento, or rewatched Memento, I should say. And damn, what a good movie, right?
Right?
Like, it's funny because I don't think I've watched it since it came out on DVD. So that would be like the year 2000 or 2001.
I was about to say, so like 20 plus years ago.
Yeah. And now that we're so familiar with Christopher Nolan and his style and his themes, you know, it was fascinating to watch him make this low budget kind of movie, but it is clearly a Christopher Nolan movie. I mean, it goes without saying with the wonky timelines and all that sort of stuff. But like even just the camera movements, there were these establishing shots where like there's just this slow sort of push in, and he still does that. Like he's always keeping the camera kind of moving, and I recognize the camera work. And it was Wally Pfister, I noticed also, his DP before he departed. Mm-hmm. But and there's even like a moment where they're talking about incepting an idea into someone's mind. And I was like, whoa, he had that thought even all the way back then. You know, he's like, just because I said it, did I put it in her mind and it grew and she couldn't.
That was when he incepted it into his own mind.
Exactly. Yeah. I was like, oh, wow. It was just kind of fascinating seeing all those sorts of things.
See, I wonder if he was slightly disappointed that people could follow along what was going on in that movie. And he was like, screw you, I'm going to make a movie just like it that's incomprehensible. And that's how we got Tenet.
Right. I mean, I don't know what sort of oversight he had on Memento, because I mean, Memento is still pretty crazy. Like you do catch up with it, and it's very clever and it's understandable. But then when people stop, because I remember Inception, seeing that with a friend, and we were both like, wow, that was like right on the edge of like getting past us, but we were able to keep up with it the whole time and we loved it, you know? But like Tenet was like him just being like, I am going to do whatever makes sense to me, audience be damned, you know?
And by the way, I like Tenet, but I fully admit that if you asked me to explain it to you, I would point off in the distance and run away.
Yes. Well, exactly. I mean, there's that line in the movie that gets quoted a lot where it's like, don't try to think, you know, feel your way. And that is truly, I think, how that movie's meant to be digested. Because I saw it originally, but then Federica and I watched it recently, and she was like, wait, what's happening? And I was like, you know what? I feel like I know, and I don't even know if I could put it into words, but I'm feeling it. You know, and it's like, it's just, I mean, maybe that's a skill. I don't know.
I mean, it definitely when, you know, by the time we get to who are you? I'm the protagonist. It's like, all right, Chris.
You're right.
Maybe back slowly out of your own asshole before you pull something.
I mean, it's not one that I think I would ever put on, except in that instance, to show her. But like, if it's on TV or something, it's definitely like eyeball candy. You know what I mean? Like, there's some really cool sequences in there. Oh, and then, I mean, Memento starts off, speaking of Tenet, all backwards. I mean, the backwards car chase, and it's really simple. It's not like these crazy special effects. It's like, it's just running the film backwards, and it just in an interesting way, and it looks cool. And in Memento, the first shot of the film is a Polaroid picture, backwards, being run backwards of it, developed, and then running backwards to when it's not developed and going back into a camera. So, I mean, all that stuff has always been with him, and it is a cool sort of modern noir yarn.
Oh, it's so great. I screened it in my class about a month or so ago, or whenever it was. I think we talked about it. And the most fun thing for me was, like, with each jump backward and, like a new piece of info is revealed that contextualizes what we already saw, to hear people in the audience be like,
Oh, really?
That was the fun stuff, Yeah.
And when you start picking up on it, like when he's drinking the cup and someone starts laughing and you're like, oh, what? Wait, what?
Right, right.
And then you see her spit in it. You're like, oh, yeah. Or her like rushing in and like removing all the pins from the room. You're like, boy, here we go.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny though, because a couple of weeks ago, Hamza and his Boy Scout group, they were going to watch a movie. And they ended up picking Dunkirk. And I was curious, like, what they would think of that. And Hamza comes on, he's just like, that is so good. He really liked it.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah. And I think I've said this before, like, because my second one, he is like Christopher Nolan fanboy. He's like, are we going to go see Oppenheimer? And I'm like, what a weird sentiment for a 14-year-old to express.
It's funny because it's true in a way, but I kind of remember being really into like A Clear and Present Danger.
Sure.
And like all those movies, I mean, they're a little different, but like, I kind of remember being at that age and those sorts of more adult kind of movies suddenly becoming intriguing to me.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's kind of that for him.
I did see a thing on Twitter recently. Somebody said, I wonder if Oppenheimer is about how guilty Christopher Nolan feels for reshaping pop culture with the Dark Knight trilogy and studios taking all the wrong lessons from it.
You know what? I bet it is. No, I'm just kidding. It's a take.
It is a take, certainly that, and you can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But,
wait, real quick. I guess as long as we're here on the topic, I mean, what'd you think of the Oppenheimer trailer, the one that just dropped?
I'm really intrigued by it. Yeah, I kind of the earlier trailer felt more like kind of a tone poem,
Yes.
Right, and this one gives you more of a sense of the story. I mean, I was already like, my ticket is already like pre-sold, right? So
right.
I'm already on board. But what I was thinking, I was like, man, Cillian Murphy like just had to wait in line for 18 years to get to be the lead in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Right. Although he's like appeared in so many of them. Yeah.
Right. And it I mean, he has aged into this role.
Yeah. 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 No, I had the same experience. I thought the first trailer, I was like, wow. But like, oh man, I was hoping it would like hook me a little more than it did actually. I'm there day one and I have high expectations. But yeah, this trailer felt a little bit, I was able to wrap my head around it a little bit more. And I worry it's going to be an oppressive sort of bleak 2.5 hours or whatever it is, but I think it will be well done. And I'm very excited anytime to see something that's well done. So,
I mean, I think the fact that it's being released in the middle of blockbuster season
against Barbie,
against Barbie, right?
Yep.
We talked before about that, what the Greta Gerwig Oppenheimer movie might look like, or the Christopher Nolan Barbie movie. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's a testament to Christopher Nolan, where he is the franchise.
Yep.
And yeah, so I think it's just in a couple weeks, right? Like I think it's in June, right?
June or July. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
When does it come out? I'm curious. Actually. Oh, July. It's late July. Okay.
Okay.
But I'm excited. Yeah.
Yep. Same.
Let's take a short break. We got some listener letters, Brian. And we are back, and hey, we got some. Oh, actually, Brian, yeah, I should mention. We're talking about audiobooks. I wanted to recommend this to you. I started listening to it earlier this week, and I'm enjoying it thoroughly. It's a novel by Tom Hanks called
yes.
You heard of this? The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece.
It has been coming up in my feed a lot. I guess he's doing an appearance here for the book, and like my sort of targeted ads on Instagram has been presenting that to me a lot.
It's been like, hey, Brian, check this out.
Well, yeah, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, I'd like to read that. So I mean, it's on the mark.
I think you'll enjoy it.
Okay, what is it? Just like a story about an actor, like kind of.
It's a fictionalized look at the making of a movie from the perspective that can only come from somebody like Tom Hanks, who's been around for so long and who's intimately familiar with every aspect.
Sounds like, yeah, going back to The Offer, it sounds like something I'd really enjoy.
Yeah, it's right in your wheelhouse. And the audiobook is it's read by Tom Hanks.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
What? So it's like Tom Hanks is telling you a story. What's not to love about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. You had me thinking, well, I'll order the book, but maybe it would be more fun to listen to it.
No, I think I think you'd appreciate that more.
Yeah.
I'm like halfway through A Man Called Otto, by the way, speaking of Tom Hanks.
How is that, by the way? That was one where I was like, if I have an opportunity to go to the movies earlier this year when there wasn't a ton of stuff out, that could be nice. And then I just kind of slipped past me.
Well, I'm watching it with Amina, and we got stuff came up, so we have to get back to it. But based on what I've seen thus far, it feels sort of like Hanks is about Schmidt.
Sure.
And it is. You just watch it to watch Tom Hanks. I mean, come on.
Sure.
But I'm very charmed by what I've seen thus far. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I want to check out both.
Anyway, hey, these are some comments we got after our last episode. You might recall that Mark Lachance sent us a message asking about physical media, and we held forth on that subject for a little bit, and people got opinions. So here's a note we got from Rob Kelly, who says, enjoyed the show as usual, wanted to add 2 points to your physical media discussion, one of which you touched on briefly. 1, I own a lot of movies on Blu-ray/DVD purely as insurance. There have been lots of times when an older title is streaming. I add it to the watch list of one of the 17 streaming services I pay for, only to go back to it a month later and it's no longer available, or some other streamer has it, etc. So when it's an older movie, often it's barely more expensive to buy it outright, and then I have it, period. I used to have more recent movies, like Zachy mentioned with the MCU stuff, but I'm betting blockbusters like that will almost always be available somewhere. So those I'm fine not owning. But The Incredible Shrinking Man, or say The Magnificent Ambersons, I own those. Those are both good choices to own.
So I'm told.
Maybe this isn't a concern to big city slickers like yourself who regularly hobnob with celebrities. But the only celebrity I need to hobnob with is Brian Hall.
Right back at you.
But my wife and I regularly attend movie-related autograph shows, and usually at every show there are at least 1 or 2 actors there we want to meet. So instead of having them sign an 8x10 or a poster, which I then have to store, frame, and find room to hang somewhere, we have them sign a Blu-ray of one of their movies. That way it's serving 2 purposes, as an artifact of meeting said actor, but it's also watchable.
That's
Over
cool.
the last few years, that is very cool. Over the last few years, we've accumulated Blu-rays of Starman, signed by Karen Allen, The Fog, signed by Adrienne Barbeau, Some Kind of Wonderful, signed by Leah Thompson, and The Terminator, signed by Michael Biehn, etc.
That's awesome. I would love all of those. I'd love to meet Karen Allen and Leah Thompson.
One
Michael
of
Biehn.
my prized possessions, Brian, is a Ghostbusters DVD insert signed by Harold Ramis.
Right. Yes.
You know, I met him just about 20 years ago.
Wow.
And, little, little thinking that now it would be an artifact of a person who's no longer around, but it means it's always meant a great deal to me. But obviously now knowing he's no longer here, it's even more a memento of that moment.
Yeah. I have an autographed DVD of Edward Scissorhands that I did not meet this person, but I saw it at Amoeba Records and I just bought it. But
Wow.
it's signed by Anthony Michael Hall, and it says, "Don't steal this like Winona."
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is, it's feel like as time marches on, there's like an era where it's like goes from like kind of funny to like, it's kind of mean. But yeah, I have that. So
that epigraph, it reminds me sort of the mini controversy a couple months ago with Matthew Perry and his autobiography.
Yes.
Where he made multiple digs at Keanu Reeves, where he's like, so-and-so is dead, but Keanu Reeves is still alive. What the hell? And I'm like, what an odd thing to say. What an odd thing to put in a book forever.
Yes. And it's funny you say that, because that's so true. I feel like there's just eras of what we find tolerable or something. I mean, it's like we talk about this a lot. I mean, during the O.J. Simpson trial, where Jay Leno would have like dancing Judge Ito's come out, which is just so crass in hindsight for this murder trial. Mm-hmm. But at the time, it was like, well, that's wacky. I've never seen that.
Clean fun.
Yeah, right. And so like, and then sort of poking at people who are going through something. I mean, like Exhibit A, Britney Spears, and like everything she went through, and it was completely acceptable for everybody. Well, acceptable. We allowed it on late night for people to, to torment these people who are clearly going through, mental episodes. And so, it reminds me of that. It reminds me of that time where it might be kind of funny, like, oh yeah, well, Winona did that. And then I feel like, thankfully, we've kind of come around to a moment where we're like, well, is she okay? Like maybe we should check in on her, and like maybe we should be taking care of these people. Like I'm glad.
Yeah, Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why don't you check in on Winona? Right. AMH. I'm assuming he goes by AMH.
Yeah. But no, I think this is interesting. Have you? Well, you've been to these autograph things. I have not, and I have friends who go and post these pictures, and I think they look really fun and cool. But I've not been to one. You have, right?
Whenever there's like a local convention or whatever, I get a press pass and I get in that way. So for me, a lot of it is just fun for me to be able to take my kids. And for me, it's the conversation that I enjoy. You can pay to have like the photo op, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you've seen those pictures where it's like a staged photo.
Yeah.
And what I've found is that's great if you just want a picture, but I'm like, if there's no experience attached to that picture, it doesn't mean anything.
Sure.
So I can't remember if I've told this on the show, but this is like 2017, I think. I went to a show and you had a bunch of Star Trek: The Next Generation cast there. Yeah. So because it was the 30th anniversary of Star Trek: Next Generation, and so I purchased photo ops for Brent Spiner, who plays Data, and Jonathan Frakes, who played Commander Riker. And so we get in line for the Frakes thing, and it's literally they're like, come in, stand here, snap, leave.
Right.
I mean, you don't even make eye contact with the person,
Oh, so they're just kind of camera forward, snap, it's moving the next
exactly
person.
Right. And they're not mean or anything like that, but it's just very like it's just trying to hustle people out of the line, right? And I was like, well, we got a nice picture, but I kind of wanted to like talk to Jonathan Frakes,
Mm-hmm.
So I went on, you can do this on your phone. So I went online and I purchased a thing to get an autograph from him, because that's like you actually go stand in line,
right?
And you talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just paid a little bit extra to get the autograph, but it wasn't about the autograph. It's because I just wanted to talk to Jonathan Frakes.
So you can engage a little bit more when you're at the table with them.
That's exactly right.
Right.
So what I've learned is that if you pay for the autograph, that's like you get like a ticket for that. But what I've found is if you do that, you can just be like, hey, I know I paid for the autograph, but can I just get a picture with you here?
Oh, and so that flies?
Yeah, they're like, yeah, totally fine.
Oh, that's cool.
So like at that show, or maybe it was the year after, Anson Mount was there.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
And this was before he had already played Captain Pike on Discovery, but this is before his own show.
Mm-hmm.
So like my kids already loved Captain Pike. And so I was like, I want to talk to him. And so we talked briefly, and then I was like, oh, would you mind if I get a picture of you with my kids? And we got a nice picture. But there's an experience to go with that.
Right.
Same thing with Michael Biehn. I remember like, cause Miku was like 8, and like Michael Biehn had him come and like sit on his lap, and like
really,
it was like a really nice thing. He's like, hey, come here, and I'm like, they have that experience as opposed to just the standing there, get a picture, and
yeah, sure.
And I'm not devaluing the experience for anybody who gets those, because those are really nice pictures.
Yeah, it kind of, I guess, depends on what you want to take away from it, but that sounds like a good hack, honestly. Yours.
Yeah, because they're usually entirely fine, because it's like, well, you paid for it,
right?
So like, because with Marina Sirtis, I did that. I was like, oh, we paid for the autograph. Can I just get a picture of you with my kids?
Right.
It was a really nice picture,
Yeah, that's cool.
Thank you for that, Rob.
Yeah.
Here's it related to the conversation about physical media. Here's one from Adam, who messaged us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. He says, just listen to your commentary track for the 1976 King Kong movie. Going back a ways for that. Hey, Brian, remember when we used to do commentary tracks?
Yeah. Oh, there's a little less gray in my hair.
Something I haven't seen in at least 20 years, but need to revisit. During the conversation, Zachy mentions that while he has great affection for the film, it is not The Magnificent Ambersons. Sadly, Brian failed to follow up with his trademark. But what is? My son, that is, we've got kind of a byplay that we have to live up to when it comes to that. My son and I have started watching the Toho Godzilla movies, but I think we'll have to add in the OG Kong and this one as well. As to your latest episode conversation about physical media, while partially inspired by Zachy, my voodoo library is growing at a probably unhealthy rate. I still enjoy, it does tend to grow out of control. I still enjoy having various physical media. In fact, I've been perusing estate sales and flea markets and collecting VHS copies of beloved films. I recently added a box set of the 3 so far good Indiana Jones films. I think you had that, didn't you, Brian?
VHS?
Maybe that was Sean. Yeah, the VHS trilogy box set, like the old school one from the 80s or 90s.
It was not me, because I had the Last Crusade from when it came out. I remember when I was 9 asking for that for my birthday.
Oh wow, okay.
So yeah,
I had the VHS set that they released in the late 90s. Do you remember this? Where it was like chronological, like number 36 in the Adventures of Indiana Jones or whatever. And it's
yes, because of the television show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Were those letterboxed?
You could get them letterboxed, yeah.
I did end up buying a letterboxed VHS of Raiders, because I remember thinking like, whoa, at long last.
Let's see what else. My next project is going to be finding and repairing a VCR to watch some of those older movies on VHS on a CRT. Yes, we still have one TV as God intended. As always, thank you both for what you do. Your latest episode kept me company on a cross-country plane ride and made being jammed into the flying cattle car tolerable.
Ah, I'm happy to hear that, Adam. I'm sorry about the flight, but I'm really glad you enjoyed it.
That is really nice. I should mention, by the way, I screened Magnificent Ambersons in my class this past week.
Yes, you sent me the picture.
I got to tell you, Brian. So first of all, I mean, it has become a recurring joke, but I love this movie. It is a great movie.
I saw you just added it to your Vudu, and I was like, okay, I have to watch this now.
Yeah, I mean, because I have it on physical media as it happens,
Mm,
but I was like, I wanted to show it to my class, and I just now I don't carry discs and stuff with me. I just show everything off my phone.
right.
And I was like, oh crap, I don't have Ambersons. So I was like, all right, here we go. But I wanted to show a Wells movie, so I've been doing history of film, and I didn't want to do Citizen Kane because I was like, a lot of them have already seen it, and I was
Mm,
like, this is one probably not as many people have seen it. It's still considered a great movie.
hmm.
But after it ended, this is the last day of class. I had a student comes up to me. He's like, man, I'm gonna have to sit with that movie. Like that really affected me.
Wow.
He's like, I'm gonna have to watch it again.
That's so
I'm like,
cool.
all right.
I love
That
that.
makes me
That's
feel good.
yeah. Isn't that amazing when something that is so, so old and made in just an entirely different era, like these people wouldn't even understand today, but
Yeah,
like the stories they tell, like these
that's right.
stories can continue to resonate, something at their core. That's magical.
Well, and the thing with Ambersons is it is a movie that was just massacred by the studio,
Right.
and so you see sort of the stitches when you watch it,
Mm.
and yet the core of what Wells did carries enough profundity that 81 years later we can still watch it and find meaning in it.
That's amazing. Well, I can't wait.
Yeah, check it out. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very curious about that.
Have you, by the way, hooked up a VCR in the past several years and actually watched a VHS and just seen, our eyes are so conditioned now to like Dolby Vision, like 4K or whatever. And then looking back at what we used to watch and think was a clear picture. Have you had that experience recently?
I follow the Indiana Jones advice of don't look into it, don't open your eyes, uh, because that's my worry. I would be like Ronald Lacey at the end of Raiders. Uh, my face would start melting and my
Yeah.
head would explode. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna attempt that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just curious.
It's a no for me. Although I have a box of VHS tapes
Mm-hmm.
sitting in the garage,
Yeah.
which I need at some point to transfer to digital.
Ah, yes.
And it's I don't the more I wait, the less likely that becomes as a thing I'll be able to do. But I really do want to. I have like one tape of like Saturday morning cartoons or something that I recorded in the 80s, and I honestly just want to like the old commercials. I want to like
Mm-hmm.
preserve them.
Yeah, actually, I had a friend a couple of years ago who was like, I have this tape, and we used to watch it every Christmas, and it has, Care Bears Christmas, and I'm making this up, but like these sort of 80s Christmas things, and it was so integral to the family's Christmas experience that they were sad that they couldn't watch it anymore. And so she asked if I could, transfer it to digital, which I did. And now they can, it's, as you said, I mean, it's not just the show, because you could probably find the show on YouTube or something, but like the commercials, like they have the whole thing memorized, the news coming up at 11, like they have all that memorized. And so they wanted that experience captured.
That's an integral part of the experience.
Absolutely. I still actually, I've talked about this before, but when I watched Return of the Jedi in the theater, I remember where Edited for Television showed up. I remember where the commercial breaks were. I remember where the first time we recorded off of TV, someone taped over the ending and where it cut off. So like I always think of it being cut off at a certain moment. So yeah, it's weirdly special.
I think that's well. I mean, there's a reason that you see so many commercials on YouTube. I mean, obviously these meant things to people. Otherwise, why would they be up there?
Yeah. Yeah.
One last letter. This is from Alex Naom, who says something that I had meant to say and forgot. So, giving voice to my thoughts. He says, "Hello, gents. Listening to the latest episode, Brian mentioned liking some Michael Schur sitcoms and is looking for a new show to watch. Schitt's Creek is definitely worth his time, but Superstore is really great too. If you both haven't seen it, this is me, Zachy. I love Superstore." And when you
Yeah.
mentioned being done with Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I was going to be like, hey, you should check out Superstore. So there we go. Me and Alex, we're on the same page.
Well, I'll just say really fast. I literally just started Schitt's Creek. I I don't know why I'd been putting it off, but Federico was like, no, trust me, you like this. And when it started, I was like, how am I going to enjoy this? These characters are kind of insufferable. And now we're maybe like 8 episodes deep or something like that. And I'm like, oh, I love it. It's so charming and sweet and unique. So I'm enjoying that at the moment, but then that's perfect. Superstore. That'll be what we watch next.
And while we're talking about Schitt's Creek, Annie Murphy also starred in a show I've mentioned to you a couple times, Kevin Can F Himself. Looking for another
yes, one. Right.
Check that out.
Yeah, and you've watched the whole thing?
I have. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, I was I caught a marathon accidentally on AMC and watched like 2 of them and got pretty intrigued by it, but did not finish it. So maybe, and there's an ending, right? Like it does actually have an ending.
It has an ending. Yeah. Okay. Eric Peterson, who I went to high school with, he plays Kevin.
Right. Okay, I remember this now. Cool.
Let's take another short break. We'll come back. Lots been going on since the last time we talked. We can catch up about that real quick. And hey, we're back. But you know who else is about to be back, Brian?
Who's that, Zeki?
Why, it's Sylvester Stallone as mountain climber Gabe Walker.
I've seen Cliffhanger, but I don't remember his name, and so I was waiting with bated breath. You joke a lot about Schwarzenegger and his kind of funny names like John Matrix, and I was like, what's it gonna be? Gabe
I should
Walker.
say, by the way, I started saying Gabe. I was like, and I realized I didn't know his last name, so I started typing, and I was. This is me. This is podcasting without a net, because the page hung up before it came up with his name, so I had to pull that from memory.
Wow, I am amazed.
Now, ask me any of my kids' birthdays, I'm going to give you a pass. But I know that Sylvester Stallone played Gabe Walker in the 1993 smash hit Cliffhanger.
Oh man, I love it. I love those like sort of 90s these superhuman specimens, but like they tried to give them these everyman names,
like Gabe. Yeah. He's a Gabe.
Yeah, Gabe Walker.
My favorite out of the entire genre is Arnold Schwarzenegger in Collateral Damage, where he plays fireman Gordy Brewer.
Gordy Brewer, yes.
Because boy, I'll tell you, look at Arnold and you're like, that's a Gordy right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of those unexpected headlines where you're like, now I love Cliffhanger. I should say, I think it is one of the best 90s action movies.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've only seen it once, actually. It's not something that I know very well. But
it's a good one. I mean, you saw it, and I'm sure you were like, hey, that was good.
Oh, totally. And like the setting itself, I mean, it's just different. It's kind of cool, mountaintop.
But I doubt you were like, well, I want to follow the further adventures of Gabe Walker. 30 plus years later, I want to jump back into this world.
Yeah, I didn't know I would want to.
So this, I just found this amusing. There is in fact a Cliffhanger 2 that is coming. It's not going to be directed by Rennie Harlan, as far as I know. Huh. It's going to be directed by Rick Roman Waugh.
Okay.
Waugh. I think it's Waugh. Waugh.
Yeah, I think so.
Stallone will play a secondary role.
I see. Like the mentor.
He's the mentor. He's
or does he get let go at the beginning?
I was about to say. I was like, that would be the irony that in the first 5 minutes, that's what happens to.
He's like, wait a minute, I've been here before. Like
that opening scene from Cliffhanger is goddamn horrifying, even now, this many years later.
Absolutely. Sadly, it's undercut a little bit for me because I think I saw the Ace Ventura 2 version of it first. But but yes, yeah, no, it's harrowing for sure.
Like I have just this past week, I had a student do a speech about how to mountain climb, and she said, "Professor, have you ever mountain climbed?" And I said, "No, because I watched Cliffhanger when I was 12." And she's like, "What's a cliffhanger?" Because obviously that movie doesn't mean anything anymore. But that did some damage to me. The first, whatever it is, 15 minutes of that movie.
Oh yeah, no, forget that. The mountain climbing. Did you ever see Free Solo? By the way,
that movie is nuts.
N-O period. Like,
right?
You know what? Honestly, I went to a screening of that in IMAX, which was absolutely staggering. And the guy, the subject, the mountain climber, was there. And if I hadn't known that he was alive, I honestly don't know if I could have made it through that movie. It was so stressful. Like, I didn't enjoy it. Like, I mean, I did actually, but it was so stressful.
I just don't. I don't get that urge.
No.
To, like, I mean, I was gonna say I can respect it. I don't know. I mean, I'm like, you could there's a high likelihood you will die, and for what?
Yes.
Right. And so that was my thought watching Free Solo, and also the movie Everest, which came out like 6 or 7 years ago.
Yep.
It's kind of the same. Have you seen that, by the way?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You have the people, like one of them climbers who has a tragic end. He's like, I just want my kids to know that their dad like climbed Everest. I'm like, I think your kids would rather you not be dead. I don't know.
I know that's the trick of those fictional movies, but also I remember having that conflict, internally watching Free Solo, where I'm like, the nature of the way stories work. I want you to achieve your goal, but like, I don't know that I can root for you. Like, I would talk you out of this, So like, I don't think it's incredible, but I don't know if it is heroic, like it's amazing. It's incredible, but like, it's kind of dumb. Yeah, there is a little bit of dumb to it. You know what I mean?
It's like Fall, right? We talked about Fall.
Yes.
The movie Fall, right? Kind of, which they're doing a sequel to that also.
Sign me up. I had this crazy, inexplicable love for that movie. So I'm in.
I want it to be about that same girl who is somehow in the same position again.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
How could the
I don't know how they'll figure it out.
Person 2 years in a row?
Yes, exactly. That's. I would respect that.
Yeah, it's funny because that movie became a phenomenon on streaming, I think largely due to the Brian Hall effect. That's my theory.
Hey, I'll take it.
Because that's why I watched it. I was like, hey, Brian added this movie to my Vudu library. Obviously, I will watch it. And I will never forget. At the end, Amina goes, I hate you for making me watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know there's no chance of showing that to Federica.
Yeah, oh my.
I would love that the second one is she's just walking along and she's like, you never catch me up there again. And then like a hawk or an eagle like grabs her and pulls her up and like puts her on a nest on a cliffside. And she's like, oh, son of a.
And then Gazoo is like, you're stuck now, dum-dum.
Yeah. And that one, he appears in the second half. And you're like, where did that guy come from?
But Cliffhanger 2, I got to be honest. As soon as I saw this headline on Deadline, I was like, I will watch this movie.
Oh, for sure.
I'm like,
Same.
Of course I will watch it. I have no idea what it'll be about, but sign me up. I never would have thought that we would be looking at the Gabe Walker franchise. But at this point, I'm hoping we get the Marion Cobretti decades later reboot,
Right. That's funny.
Speaking of belated sequels, which this is like kind of like, what the hell? They're doing a Lord of War sequel.
I have not read a thing about this. I just saw the headline, but the original was based on a true story, right? Or a real person.
That's right.
So is this what happened next to this person? I mean, what do we know about this?
Yes, it's going to be Bill Skarsgård as Cage's son. So the first one is called Lord of War. This is 2005, Brian.
Wow.
This is back when, think about this. In the Brian Hall chronology, this movie came out when you were working on Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
That is wild. I mean, this is pre-smartphones. We had the flip phone, and they took horrible blurry pictures. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
A long time ago. So they're coming back and they're doing Lords of War.
Okay, so he teams up with his son?
I would presume, yeah.
Okay. My memory is it's not a bad movie. It's been a while.
Never in a million years would I've been like, oh, let's, can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, sure.
But I think that there's sort of a chutzpah involved when you come back, decades later for a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And I applaud the chutzpah, Brian.
Sure.
I'm kind of like, okay, you had my attention. Now you have my respect.
Right.
That's where I'm at. So that alone makes me want to see it.
Well, I think sometimes a movie comes out, it's a big hit. There's this pressure to make a sequel. So something gets hastily put together, right? And then it comes out 2 years later and it's okay, Well, but like if
Lord of War was not a hit as far as I recall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, our algorithms are so like tailored to us that like I don't even know what reality is. But I feel like I see it come up every now and then or referenced or whatnot. But I was just gonna say, like, I appreciate. Well, it's been this amount of time, but hey, actually, we thought of a way to add to this. It like they didn't feel like they had to do it right away. They came up with it years later, but they think it's worth telling. Like, hey, great.
What are good examples of like decades later sequels that of like unlikely movies? Like to me, it's like A Color of Money is like that. Like
yeah, that's a good one.
Like I wouldn't have thought of making a sequel, but no, that's great. Something like that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not sure.
Kind of a short list, right?
Yeah.
But I'm intrigued is my point. I'm not even looking at it ironically. I'm like, well, there is a story there clearly because of the real life events. And I feel like Nicolas Cage is now on the other side of the We Hate Nicolas Cage arc.
right.
Of just like general, like now it's like, we ironically love Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. Because there was like a stretch that he even admits he was just sort of making these sort of straight to streaming things for money. But I feel like he's back in public favor and people will show up for him. Yeah.
I mean, on the other hand, this could be another like Glass situation.
That's a good one, by the way.
Or a bad one, because I was not a big fan of that movie.
No, man. Yeah, right? Me neither.
But I'm sure, certainly for me, my interest was, well, it's been so long. What does Shyamalan have to say? Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what had me interested. And then I was like, oh, that's what he had to say. Nothing.
Yeah, right.
So hopefully there is something there. But I am intrigued by this. I'm curious if if it will again be written and directed by Andrew Niccol. Like that's and it will. So that's what it has me interested. Cool. Andrew Niccol, he did Gattaca,
which I have never seen.
Is that right?
It comes up every now and then over here where we're like, hey, we should watch that. And we never do.
Well, he wrote Truman Show. You've seen Truman Show.
Oh, yeah, which is great.
Right. So he's got a point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And that intrigues me.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point, by the way. He's got a point of view.
Right.
Not everybody does.
They don't. It's true.
Yeah.
So that one is looking to come out, I think next year. And I may need to revisit Lord of War, the first one.
Yeah, same.
But here's the belated sequel to end all belated sequels, at least in this conversation about belated sequels. We're talking about Beetlejuice 2.
I can't believe it. I can and I can't.
It's filming right now.
That's what I can't believe, because there's been talk of a Beetlejuice sequel for years and years and years. There was even a script, right? Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian.
Right, which they wanted Kevin Smith to direct.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But it's just like, oh, almost like, wouldn't that be cool? It could happen. It could happen. And then now not only is it happening, but when the news was announced, it's like, yeah, it starts filming tomorrow.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Like, so they went through all of pre-production and casting and all, like, how did that get under the radar? That's crazy.
We've been dealing with the lead up to the strike for the last several months.
Yes.
We'll talk about that in just a second. But it feels like with Beetlejuice, they were trying to get it strike proof, so that they could start rolling. That's my sense anyway.
Man, I can't even imagine how that must work. I mean, you're locked in, like no creative writing decisions can be made. So yeah, you hope they feel pretty good about it.
So you got Willem Dafoe and Jenna Ortega. Jenna Ortega, now it's requisite. She has to be in like every creepy property now.
True. And Burton tends to find his sort of his gallery, his rogues gallery. And when every now and then he'll sort of pick someone up and you go, oh yeah, that makes sense. And like with her and Wednesday and hearing she's in this, you're like, yep, that makes sense. Like it feels like she can fit into that world.
Yeah, Christina Ricci just passed the power onto her.
Ah, yes.
Right. And of course, Michael Keaton will be back as Beetle. So he's just reprising. He's reprising all of his great characters now.
Yeah. Wow. Good point. You're totally. I didn't even think about that. That was 88, right? Original, and Batman was 89. So yeah, it's speaking of long.
I'm waiting for Michael Keaton to reprise gung ho car manufacturer Hunt Stevenson. that's the gung ho to gung hoer. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what we'd call it. No, but the nice thing about Beetlejuice is you can be 30 or 75 and it doesn't matter under that makeup.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Tim Burton is back making this movie, and I have to admit I am very excited for the Beetlejuice sequel.
I gotta admit I am too. I have admitted on the show before, I'm not a huge Beetlejuice person. I love it. I've said it, to me it feels more like a video art installation than a film. And that sounds really cruel, but I kind of don't even mean it as a negative thing. Like it's just weird, wild visual ride through kind of like a story hanging by a thread, and at least that's my memory of it. I mean, huge fans may defend it and prove me wrong, but like, that's just my memory of it. I haven't seen it a ton, but I do love
the challenge has been issued, folks. That was
please.
Brian being
actually, like, I would be interested.
Prove me wrong.
But it's like, that is a full-blown Burton. Like that is like the Burton sandworm designs and the spirals and the lighting and the Elfman at his Elfman-esque.
Oh yeah.
And which I love, by the way. I say that as a huge positive. I
should say, by the way, just the other day, I happened to put on the opening credits of Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And Issa, my 9-year-old, he goes, "Is this Danny Elfman?"
Ah, that's so amazing.
His music,
Absolutely. And I've said on the show, I wish we could see like uncut Burton again, not like Burton trying to make Dumbo, not Burton's version of Alice in Wonderland. Like I want to see Burton make a Burton movie again. And I got my wish. So I got to put my money where my mouth is. And I mean it. I'm very excited to see what this is.
That's my thought, is that it's not, for 30 plus years, Tim Burton has begged off of doing this.
Right.
And Michael Keaton has said, well, I'm not going to do it without Tim Burton.
Right.
And so I'm like, what was it that got them back in the saddle here?
So curious. I mean, he doesn't need it. So like there must be some hook to it he likes.
And we were talking about like, you're locked into the script. This is true, but you've got Michael Keaton, who, if you're going to trust anybody to just riff something without a script.
See, that's where it gets weird. I don't know where all that comes into violation.
Well, my understanding is you can't, it has to be just completely spontaneous.
Okay. And if he's not, I suppose, in the Writers Guild, I don't know how that works. Because I know the actors, like certain other guilds, have not been called to strike or to stand down yet, right? Like, so there are shows that are in production, like Game of Thrones and other things,
right?
And they have not been asked to stop yet, but that could be coming soon. So maybe that's why they're trying to hurry this thing into production.
It's. I mean, we first of all, this if they're filming now, that means it's meant to come out next year.
Right. I think next September.
Yeah, September 6th. Wow,
which is a very, very weird date, by the way.
September 6th? Is there? Why is that?
That's like Labor Day, like into summer. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
Like it feels like this should come out in October.
Yeah, but maybe it's a smart way because you figure like in October it's going to compete with all the Halloween stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's a huge audience for another Beetlejuice movie this many years later, right?
That's true. Don't know.
What's the budget for this? I'm curious.
Yeah.
Right?
I hope it goes theatrical, by the way. Yeah, I've been reading a lot about certain movies, and they're like, yeah, that's it's gonna go to Peacock. And you're like, oh, okay.
I do like that it seems like we're on the other side of the theatrical is dead discussion.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think people are seeing the value. You know, like Air.
Yes, I was just about to mention that. Yeah,
like that's streaming now. But you know, and I just watched it again yesterday. I watched it with Amina, so this is my third time watching that movie, and I loved it. I still love it. But man, watching it in the theater was just a different experience.
Yeah, and I think the studios are acknowledging that putting a movie in theaters almost gives it the like good housekeeping stamp of approval a little bit for people. Yeah. And so then when it does show up to streaming, even if it's a month later, it feels like, oh, but this has the stamp. Like this is actually a theater movie.
That's right.
You know? Yeah. And so I don't remember where I saw this, but like some article was talking about that with Air specifically saying it may not have made $100 million, but it probably boosted its value in other ways now that it's, you know, on streaming. So
yeah, and if nothing else, you have to imagine Viola Davis is going to get an Oscar nomination off of that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so it gets to be part of the Oscar conversation. You know,
right.
So yeah, Beetlejuice 2, kind of crazy that is actually happening. And
I
know. Hey, you know, we're living through the Keaton-essence.
We absolutely are. Yeah.
It's Michael Keaton's world. We just happen to live in it.
And he don't want no scrubs.
That's right. Let's talk about the WGA strike, though. You're part of the Animation Guild, which is not striking.
Correct. Yeah, different guild.
So I'm assuming you know lots of people who are part of the Writers Guild. And I'm curious if you can offer some perspective as far as what the specific issues are that are under intense scrutiny right now, because the like outside of our sort of film bubble, I hear a lot of like, tell the writers to get back to work. They're overpaid as it is.
Oh, really?
Which is comical and ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's so funny. My experience is just such the opposite.
Yeah, because we're in that bubble.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm probably not the most qualified person to speak on it, but I know there's going back to the writer's strike in 2007. There was the rise of streaming, right? And so the writers were like, look, this is something we need to take a look at. This is becoming a thing. And so we need to reevaluate residuals, because, you know, the way that writers in the WGA, like they really sometimes have to live off of residuals, you know, going from job to job. And so if your show is continuing to profit on Netflix, or actually even, let's go back to 2007, not even thinking about Netflix, but like DVDs or reruns or whatever, it was normal then, you know, you would get these checks in the mail from your work because it was still generating profit. And so what they were saying back then, one of the major sticking points was, well, with streaming, we need to think about this. And so now that, you know, contracts are up and they're trying to renegotiate, they're like, look, streaming is like, it has turned into this entirely other thing now. Like maybe most of the things we watch these days are streaming, even network shows like The Good Place. Like I didn't watch The Good Place on NBC. I watched it on streaming. Mm-hmm. So they really still have not figured out a fair residual matrix, right? So people are getting what they should be getting from the profits that their work is continuing to generate. So there's that, but then there's also these new issues, you know, like there's new practices where when a show is being developed or, greenlit or about to be greenlit, they'll start these things called mini rooms, and they'll hire these writers, and they'll try to hammer out like an entire season's worth of television and do all this work, and they're not getting paid as much. They don't last for as long of time, and then they could all just get let go and have nothing to do with the show as it gets greenlit and moves forward, and they're not seeing any of the work that they generated profiting them, and they may not be asked back. Like, that's kind of a weird little, I don't understand those entirely. That's my knowledge from like having read about them, because I've not participated in one. But they want to kind of eliminate these sort of save a buck practices that some companies are exercising. And then additionally, into many, many other things, there is the whole AI issue at the moment, where they're saying, look, we saw what happened when we weren't quite sure what streaming would become back in 2007. So now we are confronting AI in its quote unquote infancy, if we can even call it that, because it's amazing where it's at already. We know this is going to become a thing.
Right.
So we need to regulate this now, because there's the possibility we don't want you not only, creating work using AI, like generating stories, generating scripts, but like to use AI correctly, you have to feed it a crap load of information that it can come to understand, right, mathematically, to produce that. And it's like, we don't want you using our work to let a computer better understand how to create a script. And so they and so when they're saying that and saying we want to negotiate on this or have your guarantee that this won't happen, the counter from the studios is basically like, well, our counter is this. Maybe, every now and then we'll have like a meeting about like advancements in technology, which is like, okay, like, no. So basically I think, studios, this is my opinion, I think they're like, oh no, we're going to definitely use this, and we can't say no. To how they'll use it, I have no idea, but they know there's something there. And it's kind of scary, because there's a lot of issues where, they're either giving crappy counteroffers, the studios, to the writers, or they're just saying no. And so I don't know where you go from here. And a lot of people are forecasting that, this strike could last a long time, and that affects writers, obviously. I mean, I stand with them, and I admire them for sticking up for themselves and trying to get what's fair. And at the same time, it affects so many people. It affects makeup artists. It affects, all sorts of people who are just related to production. So it's gloomy. It's gloomy at the moment. And I don't know how those talks are going to move forward, but you just hope they can kind of figure it out. And it's all to people who are saying it's just millionaires wanting, more money. I mean, I assure you, most writers are not millionaires. It's not sexy. Like there's even directors, there's just sort of like workman type people, men and women. And like, there are certain ones we know by name, and they work on these shows that we know because they're really famous. But by and large, I mean, the majority of writers and these sorts of people are just everyday people. And as time marches, I mean, this is sort of like the minimum wage conversation, right? Like as inflation happens and time marches on and technology advances and things change, like you can't keep living with 20th century, logic. So yeah, really hoping for a resolve soon.
I mean, I think what's really incongruous is that the people on the executive level have compensations that are just obscene.
Yes.
Right. And so when you weigh the fact that David Zaslav got $250 million last year, and I can guarantee you that the writers at Warner Brothers Discovery are not asking for, they're not like, oh, give me what he's getting. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, well, what's fair,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the dilemma, is that what we had before, and I talk about this in my classes. I'm like, the network model and the syndication model, the reason it lasted as long as it did is because there was equity and based on residuals and things like that. That's how you were able to have this amazing run of content.
Mm-hmm.
And the streaming era, it doesn't account for that, right? So the residuals and things to one side. It's like, how do you? What are your metrics? And they don't reveal their metrics. They don't say how many people are watching.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I'm
things
glad
like
you brought that up. That's something that they want, to have that math. So
Right.
if a show is successful, as would have happened, on other, like say Friends, if you write on Friends or act on Friends or something like, well, it's more profitable. So you're able to ask for more money. But when it's all a mystery, they don't reveal these numbers, you can't do the same math.
Yeah. So I think ultimately the last writer's strike, I think, lasted about 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the long-term wreckage of that strike was felt the following year. And
Yes,
the movies,
sure.
the movies that came out in 2009
Uh-huh.
were the result of the 2007-2008 writer's strike.
Right.
And so the longer this stretches, well, we're in for some shitty blockbusters about 18 months from now,
Yep. And some possibly truncated seasons of television, and yeah.
Yeah, like SNL is done for the season now.
Right.
All the late night talk shows are done for a while. And again, there is this undercurrent I'm hearing a lot of like, oh, these writers don't know how lucky they are, that type of thing. And it's like, I think television writers are acutely aware of how lucky they are, but that doesn't mean that you should do the job for free,
Mm-hmm.
like, or you should do it in a way that undervalues you. I mean, that's for anything,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like it's sort of like the mentality of the comment section, if you will.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, would you this thing that you do, you're not a television writer, you are X thing, you're good at it, would you do it for less than you're worth?
Right.
So then why should they do it for less than they're worth?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, to me, it's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously I agree.
Well, there we go. Okay, let's take a short break and let's come back and we will talk about the latest Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. And we are back. And hey, Brian, you know who else is back?
Who's that, Zeki?
Why, it's those wild and wacky Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So we are now 6 years removed from their last movie.
Wow. It feels
not their last appearance, because they've been popping up, but their last movie was 6 years ago.
that's a long time. Right?
It's 1.5 high schools ago.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't realize it had been that long.
Yeah. I remember because my daughter had just been born when Guardians 2 came out.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's 6 years old and just a pain in the ass. And now it was touch and go for this one for a little while.
Yeah. Well, I've forgotten how long ago that was, but there was like a minute where it looked like James Gunn might not be making this movie.
James Gunn, some unfortunate, not unfortunate, disgusting, social media posts that he had made when he was much younger, and by much younger I mean like 10 years ago, not even that much younger. But they came to light and they were indefensible. And to his credit, he was like, I'll take whatever punishment they want to give me. And Disney said, bye, see you later.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, all right, no problem. And for whatever reason, things kind of ended up coming back in his direction, where he got the opportunity to do the third Guardians of the Galaxy. Not in any way defending those social media posts, but I will say, Brian, I am glad that he took ownership of his mistake.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't try to defend himself because it was indefensible. And I'm also glad that he did get the opportunity to finish these movies his way.
Agreed. I mean, it's kind of the way you would hope it would go. Like, yeah, he said some like kind of nasty, edgelordy stuff, probably trying to provoke a response, and then we grow, and you realize that like, no, that's not worth saying ever. And you hope people, grow and move forward, and he feels like a person who has. And I agree. I'm happy that he was able to make this movie, because I mean, these movies are so singularly him.
It really, like, it was hard to picture what a non-James Gunn Guardians of the Galaxy would look like.
Yeah, and I realized watching this movie, I know it's Marvel and it feels Marvel-ish, but like, this is one of the few Marvel movies that really doesn't overlap with anything else.
Right.
Like, it's not doing a ton of work to lift up or set up some other movie. Like, even Wakanda Forever was doing that. Like, kind of got bogged down trying. I mean, it had so much it had to handle in the first place, like real life things, its own story, setting up.
That's right.
Like world building things. And this one, I was like, wow, this just gets to be, it almost feels like its own space trilogy. It doesn't even have to be a Marvel movie.
Yeah. And we've seen the Guardians and the 2 Avengers movies. They've made actually quite a few appearances. I think about it, because I forgot they were in Thor: Love and Thunder also.
I forgot that too. Yeah.
Right. There's the holiday special. So it's not like they've been away, but watching this film, at least for me, it definitely felt like I was missing this. Like, there was a specific flavor that has been missing from the MCU post Endgame.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I love these movies, so I'm super endeared to them. So I was very happy to see them back.
I mean, I think, when you say, like, what would a James Gunn less Guardians 3 look like? It might have been sort of what they were like in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, but that's Taika Waititi doing his thing with them, but those aren't his characters.
Yeah. Yeah. And didn't Gunn actually say in an interview that he wasn't thrilled with the way that Peter Quill was portrayed in like Endgame, or whatever one it was?
No, I hadn't heard that, actually. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Or Infinity War, right? Isn't that the one where he kind of screws up?
Where he screws the universe?
Yeah, basically. And I thought I'd read somewhere Gunn's like, yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
Oh,
or something like that. Yeah.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So
I worth mentioning. I mean, people have sort of perceived that the MCU is on a downward swing. This film opened pretty well. I mean, it's something like 115 million, and I guess it just tells you about how the expectations are for the MCU. People are like, oh, well, that's a disappointment.
Right.
Which, like, what? But the cinema score, the audience reaction was great, and I remember saying last weekend, I was like, based on that audience reaction, it's going to ease a lot less this weekend, and indeed, it's about 50%. So it's holding well. So in other words, the word of mouth on this one is good.
Yeah.
And I think the word of mouth is warranted. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it is an effective conclusion to this version of these characters. I'm glad James Gunn got to say goodbye his way, and I'm ready for whatever happens next to be something different.
Yeah, same. And I really enjoyed this movie. I wish I had the opportunity to revisit the first and second one, because I've seen the first one a couple times, but the second one I've only seen once in the theater, and I remember being sort of like, like fine, kind of on it. And I wish I could sort of watch it again and have led into this, but I really enjoyed this one. I mean, it's obviously heading towards some sort of conclusion, but it's also like its own story with, Rocket as the focus. And that story really worked for me. I thought the villain, worked for me, like just seeing them all together and how much they care about each other. And like, just the sense of humor that's a little unique to this movie. Like there's a moment where, I mean, I don't think this is like too much, but like, they have these uniform or like spacesuits that they need, and they like put them in this chute, and like immediately that's not going to go well. And the way you just see them sort of floating by a window outside in space, I'm just like, that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? Like this, just this kind of fun. And when they're arguing over the color of those buttons on their wrists,
so funny.
Yeah, like this is what I'm here for, and I got it. And not only that, did I get to just have fun with these people who I enjoy, but I was really moved by this story.
Oh my gosh.
What a ride. I mean, it's pretty intense.
What a rocket ride, if you will.
Right. So yeah, I had a blast with it. And in a movie that does have action, and I think has some pretty good action, the fact that that action's probably the thing I would list third or fourth about what I even remember about the movie. You know, I mean, that's, to me, I think a big sign of why I think I connected with it.
I think this is something I discussed last time, but you get a sense that the intertwining of effects and action, everything there is intentionality to it, and it's not just, oh, let's just shoot a bunch of stuff in front of a green screen and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Because certainly when I think of and I, unfortunately, because I wanted more from this movie, but when I think of Ant-Man and the Wasp, the third one, Quantumania, I think about how utterly unmemorable the action is in that movie.
Yeah. And this setting is very sort of blobby and amorphous and just could kind of be anything. And there's, a scene where they're in this, breaking into this sort of space station-y, whatever you want to call it. And it has, I'm sure there's a lot of CGI components to it, filling it out, but it felt like a space. Right. I think you might have said this word, but there was like an intentionality to it. There was a design, there was an understanding of what it was. Yeah. And it goes a long way to making it feel more grounded because we understand where our people are,
I totally agree. And when you think about it, I mean, that what you're describing, that's an action sequence that's, that's like in the first third of the movie.
Yeah.
And there's still so much more to do.
Yeah. It was another thing I heard on another podcast. They were mentioning, Rocket has these friends, right, who are CGI characters. And they mentioned they were really impressive CGI characters. And I was like, obviously I know that, but I really didn't think about it. Right. I was like, when I think of those characters, I remember their personalities and some of their sort of horrifying designs, horrifying, sad, tragic, adorable designs. But the only thing, honestly, if I'm not thinking about the mechanics of it, I just remember them as characters. And I think that is it's like the biggest compliment I can give.
I agree. Yeah. So it's big thumbs up from me. Sounds like it's a thumbs up from you. You wanna get into some spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it.
Spoilers.
So I love that the villain in this is basically Sid from Toy Story with a budget.
That it's funny. Yeah. I really like this villain, and I think when I think of Kang in Ant-Man, I was like, this person's interesting, but they sort of yada yada a lot of him. Where I thought one of the most interesting moments is when Michelle Pfeiffer's character is stuck with him, and she's sort of telling this thing that happens through a flashback. If I remember correctly, there's narration, and she's like, "Oh, and then there's a moment I realized he was bad," and I'm like, "Man, honestly, I'd rather live through that." I kind of want to be there in that moment and feel that rather than her telling me it as a story. And I think what's so great about this character is he has these sort of designs as well that are very common, super villainy kind of things about creating this thing, thinks he can do better, whatever. But we get to see these interesting details and moments. There's a moment where he can't figure out why his machine isn't working correctly. It's making all the specimens angry, right? And then Rocket figures it out, and he gets so mad. It's like, how could you figure this thing out? And I was like, ooh, that's good. That's chilling. And Rocket's made to feel stupid, or less than rather. And for being so smart by this person that designed him. And I was just like, that's good stuff. That makes me not like this guy. This makes me scared of this guy. That's good unhinged stuff.
Well, and in that vein, I also like that, and we're talking about the High Evolutionary, by the way. I should mention Chukwudi Iwuji, who plays him. Uh, I think Gunn very smartly doesn't try to make him sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
He's just awful. He's an
Yeah.
awful person.
Right.
And if nothing else, that's kind of refreshing because I don't mind complicated and sympathetic villains, but I think sometimes it's good to just have a villain who's just a bad guy, and he's a
Yeah.
bad guy. And how do we know he's a bad guy when Rocket issues the most gut wrenching, blood curdling scream of agony and loss?
Ugh.
He mocks him.
Yes. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the whole Rocket story in this, I mean, that's the spine that this whole thing hangs on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so like you say to yourself, what an amazing character Rocket is.
Mm-hmm.
That this far into our time with him, we've never gotten his origin. We've always liked him.
Mm-hmm.
But dare I say we love him through the course of this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always kind of like a charming rascal, but like we have all the dimensions sort of filled in now, and they're sweet and they're tragic and they're funny and they're heroic. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, in that vein, the other thought I had is that I give Chris Pratt props for sort of stepping aside in this movie because he is top billed. He is not the lead character in this movie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even really think about it, if I'm being honest.
Right? I mean, it's an egoless performance for the top billed actor,
Mm-hmm.
because obviously the movie kind of like Rocket, you've been the main character all along. Well, I mean, he's the main character of this movie.
Yeah,
because even when he's not active, everything's revolving around him.
Mm-hmm.
I should say too, recently, I had a pet who was sick, and seeing Rocket, on the table with this oxygen mask on, I mean, it just made me think of my pet, and I took my kids with me, and afterwards, I took my second and third one. Afterwards, they were like, "Oh, we kept thinking about him." Like when you see him on the table, it just made us, all three of us, not even realizing we were all thinking the same thing.
Wow.
I would assume I would have had an emotional reaction to this film regardless, but that definitely had added this extra element for me,
Right.
When it ended, Miku, he was like, "Oh, this is like No Way Home good." He liked it that much.
Oh, wow.
For him, it was up there with that.
That's cool. He's a tough critic.
I know. Mostly just on you, apparently.
That's right.
Just tough on you. He expects more from you, Brian.
Well, hey, he should.
He's not angry with you. He's just disappointed. That's Brian. That's his approach to you. No, but he really liked it, and I am looking forward to seeing it again. Which is, I have to say, that's not something that has been the case for many MCU films lately. For me, where I haven't felt a particular urge to rewatch. I would say since Shang-Chi. I think that's the last one I saw multiple times.
Yeah.
The other ones, it's like, well, I got to watch it so I can scratch it off.
Right. Or Spider. I don't remember which one came first, but Spider-Man was like probably the last one I was like passionate about.
Definitely Spider-Man, yeah. But there's been Eternals and Multiverse of Madness and even Wakanda Forever. Honestly, I saw it one time and I was fine with that.
Yeah.
Quantumania, and I don't know if that's a reflection of declining quality or just me being busy, but like I have to say that this Guardians 3 is the first one in a while where I'm like, oh man, I want to get another viewing of that in.
Yeah, and I think for me, listening to you say that, I think it could have something to do with doing something that feels singular to itself, where some of the others I'm like, that's a good superhero movie, you know what I mean? And it's like, it just feels like some of the others, but it has like this kind of funny, this one's funny, or this one has this or whatever, but like this feels like it doesn't have to be a Marvel movie. This just feels like they came up with this cool fun gang of characters who have adventures in space, and I actually like them, and I like the stories they go on, and I wish all of them felt as specific, and right.
Yeah. It just, I mean, I'm thinking like, and I think I liked Doctor Strange 2 a lot more than others because I really liked the Raimi of it all.
Me too. I was surprised. I think I know Federica too. Like we all liked it more than it seems most people did. I don't know why, but I think it was the specificity.
That's right. And so that you look at this, you're like, it's an expression of James Gunn's particular personality, but also his affection for these characters over the last 9 years now, and like you were saying, like the action, it's fine, but that's definitely, for me, it's the character stuff that, here's a moment where Nebula is talking about Drax and she's like, he's so dumb or something like that, or maybe Mantis is like, and then Drax is like, you think I'm dumb? Like, and he feels so bad for him,
I know.
Like, right?
Yeah.
And like those are the things that jump out at me when I think back on it.
Yeah, and there's just so many of those moments. I mean, even the opening of the movie, I love where it's Rocket walking around listening to Creep by Radiohead. Yeah. And it's just there was something where it's like I can't remember if this is in the second one or the Christmas special, but I just love that he's taken to the music. You know what I mean? Like, and he's found the songs that speak to him and, amplify how he feels. And like, he just feels so realized,
Yeah.
His emotions are complicated, and it begins in this sort of not melancholy, but just sort of this interesting way we're dropping in with everybody and how they're feeling and what they're going through on that place. And I don't know. I just don't feel like I get that kind of specificity with the other, not all of them, but with a lot of them lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. What did you think of the character Adam Warlock, who's played by Will Poulter in the movie?
I had written down just a couple thoughts, and I hadn't said it yet. But I was going to say, if I had to put this movie in a sentence, I would say stuffed, but fun, heartfelt, and lovable. And I stand by the stuffed, and I wonder too if that's just how modern movies feel these days, or at least Marvel movies. They just have to they cram so much in, and I don't know that it always needs to be so crammed. But I mean, they found a way to make him a part of the story and affect outcomes and whatnot. But it did feel like there was extra things on top of the things that I was most locked into, and I want he's maybe a part of that for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. You?
Yeah, well, Adam Warlock is a very big character in terms of like his role in comic book stuff, right? Like so in the Infinity Gauntlet comic book series, which is partially what inspired Infinity War, he's the guy. He's the main guy who defeats Thanos. You know what I mean? Oh. So and not to say I was expecting that, but I did feel like I felt like he was included more as just an answer to, well, we put the little Easter egg in at the end of the second one, so we got to have him.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like he didn't amount to a ton. Like I like Will Poulter. I think he looks the part, and that's with this MCU stuff where you're like, well, the character's there, somebody else will do something with him,
Mm-hmm.
But it honestly felt like he was in it so that you could have the other characters say everyone deserves a second chance, which sure feels like James Gunn making some meta commentary about himself.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So that was the one element where I was like, I didn't dislike it, but I was like, I kind of wish there was more. They did more with that,
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I was even like, he could have been whittled out, honestly.
Yeah, I think he's in there only because of that Easter egg.
Right.
At the end of one of the post credit scenes. I agree with you. I don't think he's particularly essential in the story.
Right.
Now that being said, based on the marketing and certainly based on conversation with my students, the conversation was like, which of the Guardians are going to die in this movie? People were placing bets.
Right.
Oh, I think Drax that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
I think I think Rocket's gonna die. And you know what I love? I love that the twist ending is that nobody dies.
I agree. We talked about that on the way home over here, and I said it reminded me of Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Yep.
Yep.
I said that in my review.
Did you? Oh, actually, I don't know
Yeah.
if I read your review yet. Now that I think about it.
I said that with this movie, James Gunn gets to have his Return of the Jedi.
Oh, well, I mean,
And that's what I meant. That's what I meant, that everybody lives.
yeah, you get to have them all by the fence,
Mhm.
well, so to speak, I suppose. Like they do kind of split up. But I know that people think, storytelling wise or what makes the most sense. It's like, oh, well, you got to kill Han Solo. Like what's his purpose at this point, anymore, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I hear you. But man, I wouldn't take away that ending for anything. Where everybody together at the fence celebrating with
or
the
like
Ewoks.
Lando blowing up with the Death Star.
Yeah. Right? No, I like seeing them all together.
Right?
Yep. So likewise, I'm glad they didn't do that.
The series finale of Star Trek Picard ends in a similar vein, where all the characters are playing poker, and Terry Matalas is the producer. He said he was like, that was his twist ending, that everybody was going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I don't want anybody dying. I want my friends all to be together. That's how I want this to end. Yeah. And so watching that, and then very shortly thereafter watching this, I'm like, oh, Gunn was kind of, drinking from the same special blend, like, yeah, no, everybody lives. Everybody gets to, they get their happy endings. And I think that, we got the body count in Avengers Endgame, and I think that should hold us over for a little while,
Yeah, we got a devastating ending at the end of Spider-Man, right? I mean, people aren't dead, but I tear up every time I watch that last scene.
Yeah, right.
Where no one remembers him.
And I think, by the way, in that vein, I like that the team, they all go their own ways. They'll meet again, they'll, whatever. Yeah. But like the Guardians, as we needed them, I was thinking, like, the Peter and Gamora story is over now.
Right.
Like, Peter realizes this isn't the Gamora that he loved.
Right.
He has to move on, Yeah. And it's so
a very mature concept, honestly. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, when you think about it, like that it would have been easy to have them fall back in love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think it's more interesting, right, to have Star-Lord be like, no, it's that I had that, it's done now,
I wondered if it was going to be, you don't want to impose yourself on someone, but almost like 51st Dates, where like I will do whatever it takes, to at some point, like I will continue to love you, and we'll see if you ever can love me again. Like I'll be okay with that. But
the problem is Chris Pratt did the alternative in Passengers already.
No, that's right. I forgot about that.
Most people have. It's funny because ever since the first movie, I've been thinking about Grandpa Quill.
Right.
And I'm like, what is he thinking about what happened? So I was so glad to see Greg Henry back. And like, oh yeah, he's happy he's going to see his grandson again. Like it's like, I'm so glad they pulled on that thread again,
I know. And I really loved that post-credits sequence with them eating breakfast together and just talking about like the neighbors, like after everything we've seen, Peter Quill jumping around with laser guns and rocket boots and, whatever. And just him just like, it's a little weird that guy's kid, doesn't mow the lawn, like that's his ending with the grandfather. I love that.
Great.
Yeah.
And I should mention before somebody writes in, I know Greg Henry does have a little cameo in the second one. There's a cutaway to Earth when, like, remember Ego? Kurt Russell has like planted those like seeds or whatever all over the planet.
Mm-hmm.
So we see it on Earth, and we see Greg Henry in it. But I wanted to see him reunite with his grandson.
Yeah, no, totally.
And we're talking about Drax. I love Drax's ending. His whole life has been about loss. He has a family now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I'm just a big softie when it comes to like they got their happy endings. I don't know. I don't know, Brian. It speaks to me.
I know. Well, and everybody got like nice moments. Also,
Yeah.
I mean, like also with just thinking of Mantis, I thought it was such an interesting moment where they have those monsters sort of staring them down. And I was sort of like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, like they're just going to fight these CGI creatures or whatever. And then it's like this sort of twist of, her being so perceptive about people and thinking more than some might when they might attack first. But she's like, no, I think they're just scared, and that becomes, I was like, oh, what a twist, and then they become like her army or whatever you want to call them, like her fleet at the end.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, all those emotional beats really worked well for me. Going back to what I was saying earlier, man, that scream
Yeah.
that Bradley Cooper does when his friends die. Oh my God, you can just feel your heart getting ripped out of your chest.
Yeah. Yeah. That was every scene with him and his friends just absolutely worked for me. I mean, when they're like laying on their backs, talking about the sky and talking about how they're friends. And it was so good. Linda Cardellini, man, that was quite a performance. I mean, I just believed that character. It was so hard watching her die,
Well, and especially, I mean, if you're watching and you're like, well, something tragic is going to happen because
it. Yeah.
Right. So you're like, oh God, I don't like where this is headed,
Yeah.
And then actually related to that, the scene when they all think Rocket is going to die, I thought Chris Pratt played it really well.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was like, is that it? Is he like?
Yeah. Oh, me too. I mean, they take it to the limit and then go past it.
That's right.
Where they like really bloat his face up when he's like in space. And I was like, oh, I thought that was them saying like, no, seriously, he's dead.
Right.
Yeah. And then, they stretch it out with like Groot with his tendrils going out there and then they can't reach. I was like, oh, that's good stuff. It's making me feel terrible.
Well, and the nice thing, it works as a, like, that's what happens to Yondu in the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's a parallel to that. So that's why I was like, oh, okay, they're doing the same thing with him.
Right.
But again, that's the thing, right? Like, had he died, I would, if that's where the story took us, I would have been fine with it. But I think it says something that him being saved doesn't feel like a cheat.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt relief, honestly.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's two near death moments in this, one with Rocket, one with Quill, and both of them you're like, okay, good.
Right. Right.
Speaking
of,
I also
yeah. No, go ahead.
Just real quick, I also like that Sean Gunn gets a little bit of an arc.
Yeah.
In this.
with the arrow.
His arrow.
Yeah. And the dog, Cosmo, who I found that dog so adorable. I really loved the voice. I thought that was just so charming. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was just going to
say, you were saying.
Yeah, about Groot. I really loved at the end where we finally hear what they hear when Groot speaks. Right?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, because, everything he says is, I am Groot, but they respond to him as if he's saying something different every time. And then we finally get to hear him say, I love you guys.
Yeah, which I don't think I'm a particularly intelligent person, but to me it seemed fairly obvious that, oh yeah, because we're part of the family.
Yeah.
And we understand him too. People are online are like, so like, what happened to Groot? Why is he able to talk normal now? I'm like, guys, come on.
No,
really?
I had the same thought. I was like, yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Like now we get to hear them as they do.
And just for that, by the way, for Vin Diesel saying something other than I am Groot, $25 million just for that. So that's how much he charged them.
Is that true? The $25 million? I know he gets an obscene amount.
It wouldn't be surprising to me at all. I'm actually now that I was just joking, but now I'm curious.
Yeah, no, I kind of remember reading that at least on one of the previous ones where he gets just like a crazy amount of money just knowing he only says like 3 words.
So let's see this. It says here, Vin Diesel's MCU payday rumor debunked. Acclaim posted a Twitter stated that Vin Diesel made a total of $54 million for playing Groot in the MCU. Simply responding, not true. Gunn shot down the claim of roughly $13 million per movie going to the actor, who only has said 5 separate words thus far in his various appearances. So I don't know how much he makes, but I would assume it's more than we would make for doing the same thing.
Agreed.
I think that's a fair assumption.
Well, what do you think it means? Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I hope Bradley Cooper will continue to be Rocket for as long as that character is being used.
Same. And I was going to say, what do you think of the ending where it says Star-Lord will return?
Well, I think that's smart. I mean, keep the character in play. Why on earth not? I mean, he doesn't have to return, next month.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course, yeah.
Right? But I would imagine that Chris Pratt is down.
Mm-hmm.
And what I like is that separate from the Guardians family, I mean, he's a toy in the toy chest.
Right.
I think that was very smart of them to do that, because I think, notwithstanding him dooming the world in Infinity War, I think he remains a popular character.
Yeah, and this movie does feel so much like an ending. Maybe they're letting you know, like, oh, no. Like, you can expect to see at least him, but probably some of the others again as well. Like, they're not gone for good.
Yeah, I think I like where the post-credit scene leaves us with this new Guardians team.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, like, when we want to see and if you notice, they're mostly CG characters.
You know what's funny? I don't remember thinking about that.
That's pretty smart, like, notwithstanding Will Poulter,
mm-hmm.
right, and that little girl.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know what I mean. So it's like, that's smart. And then I'm after Endgame, I'm like, let's keep as many of these characters available as we can.
Yeah.
I remember not loving Thor: Love and Thunder, but I'll tell you, at the end when it says Thor will return, I was like, good.
Yep, good. Like Peter Griffin.
So
good.
so same thing. Legendary Star-Lord will return. Good.
Yeah. Wait, by the way, speaking of the ending, did you find it funny where, like, this was all about, like, rescuing animals, this movie, and they, like, save this stampede of animals off of that crashing ship, and then at the end it's like, well, let's kill these suckers, and it's like a stampede of animals.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I feel like some context there might be helpful.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the way home. I was like, that felt weird, right? like
they should have been monsters or something. Like
something, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely had that thought. Yeah,
that's fine. Okay, I'm not alone.
Other thoughts, or do you think we've covered everything we needed to with this?
I'm sure we could keep going, but yeah, there was just a lot of just fun moments. I mean, just the, Mantis and Drax and how she makes the guard fall in love with him. And he's like, you always do this. Like, there's just all these like fun little moments just showing how many things they've been through together and their relationships with each other and how they like having fun with one another that just really color the movie. And yeah, just make it something, like you said, one of the first Marvel movies in a while that I would eagerly watch again.
I'm going to be seeing it hopefully this week.
Oh, nice.
With my oldest. My oldest, he didn't get to go with us, unfortunately, but hopefully this week. Yeah, one thing actually I will mention. The movie completely makes you forget that like an entire civilization is murdered. With this counter Earth, there's a whole planet of lovely animal people just living their lives. Who just like blink out of existence.
Zachy?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. There was so much going on. You're right. That's terrible.
It's awful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And we get to go into their homes and they have those like pictures from elementary school with like the laser backgrounds, like
they all seem like lovely people and they just don't exist anymore.
You're totally right.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
On that note, let's bring this. I'll let you get on with the rest of your day after that pleasant thought. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a big thumbs up for me. And looks like Brian and I landed at the same place. But as always, if you have thoughts on this film, please let us know. Are you sad to see James Gunn move on? Are you hoping that he does something similar at DC, or do you want to see something completely different from him with the Superman Legacy, which is now casting? Latest I heard, by the way, is that they're looking at an actor named David Cornsweet as potentially playing Superman, or at least auditioning. And I saw him in the movie Pearl last year.
Okay.
And I don't know if I would assume, I mean, he fits the general look, so I would assume he's in the audition mix. I don't know how much in the loop he is, but if you look at him, I mean, he looks to me like Tom Welling did, like in the early 2000s,
Right.
So definitely he fits that mold. I could easily see this guy playing Superman.
That's cool.
But I will say this: after Guardians of the Galaxy and how much heart it has, I am all about a Superman film that has that sensibility with a little bit of a twinkle,
Totally, yeah.
But Guardians of the Galaxy's premiere brings with it the launch of the summer movie season, and now we are into it, hot and heavy, until September or something. Because coming up next week, speaking of Vin Diesel, we have Fast X.
Yes.
Which was supposed to be part 1 of 2, but apparently per Vin Diesel at the premiere, it is the first of 3.
Yeah.
Which is the most Vin Diesel thing, right? Like,
yes, I know.
I'm not gonna have a 2-part finale. I'm gonna have a 3-part finale.
Yeah, I mean he's a one of a kind hype man. Yeah.
My prediction. I've been saying this for a while, but whenever these movies end, if it's the one after this or the one after the one after, I think it will end with Dom dying, having defeated Thanos. That's my. But in all seriousness, I think he will want Dom to die.
I can kind of imagine that.
Right?
Yeah. Sort of make him a legend.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Right, yeah.
That seems very on brand for Vin Diesel. So I'm curious if that happens.
Heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
There you go. And families forever.
Yep. And then it'll be like him and Walker, like Mufasa in the clouds, like looking over the family.
Yeah, that's actually the other thought I had is I think they're working up to doing like a deep faked version of Paul Walker in these movies.
I can imagine that. Yeah. I don't know. I still feel like we see it in the Indy trailer, right? Indy 5, where they are doing that, right? And it looks better and better. And even, Luke at the end of that Mandalorian season or whatever, or Boba Fett, I don't remember, but it looks pretty good. But I just feel like as time marches on, it's immediately going to be dated. It's just, it's always going to look, it's never going to look entirely right. And it's only going to look worse as the years go on. And it just feels like, I don't know if I'd want to hinge a key moment or something on that tech yet. That's just
right. I'm kind of like ultimately fully agreeing with what you're saying. I'm like, when it comes to the ethics of it all, I'm like, if the families are okay with it, then I'm fine with that.
Sure.
But I agree with you that if you were, and we're speaking this is like a total hypothetical because it may not even happen, but I think if you were looking at a digitally created Paul Walker, your brain is going to be like, that person is not around. That is not a person.
Right.
And so, like, how do you flip that circuit?
I know.
You know what I mean?
But I can also, and the challenge too is that they kept him alive in universe. So, right. He's just sort of off to the sides, and it's kind of hard to imagine some sort of finale without him being with them, That's
the problem, is that the last movie is like at the barbecue and then Brian shows up and it's like, hey, remember when we were like near death and Brian was just like watching Seinfeld reruns or whatever? Like, that's the dilemma,
Yeah.
I say that in my life all the time. I'm like, hey, I was near death and where was Brian? Watching Seinfeld reruns. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
I will say this: the premiere was, I think, 2 days ago, and a media outlet has already spoiled a major surprise in the post-credit scene. Like, put a headline and everything.
See, now that's not cool.
A total dick move. Like something that I know for a fact I would have loved to have no idea about.
Yeah.
And I would imagine all longtime fans would have had the same thought, you know?
I mean, if you want to be like, find out how it ends, post-credit sequence, here, click below, like that's one thing, but to just force it in front of people, surprise them with it.
If you say like Fast 10 has a shocking post-credit scene and then you click it, okay, well, you brought it on yourself. Right. But this is like in the headline with the picture, so that's upsetting.
Yeah.
I don't like that, Brian.
Not cool.
I don't like it very much at all. But we'll have to see what we say about the movie. I to this day, our Fast and Furious movie discussions end up being some of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
So I expect we'll have some fun talking about the next one when we get that opportunity. In the meantime, hey, maybe we'll have some commentaries coming up. I'm hoping
so.
Fingers crossed. And Last Jedi is coming. I promise.
It is. Absolutely.
I don't know when, but it is coming. Yeah. That is my guarantee. Anything else you want to say, Brian, about anything about life?
No, just Young Jedi Adventures now finally out there, and people can catch it on Disney Plus, where the whole batch of episodes have dropped, and they are dropping individually weekly on Disney Junior.
There we go. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at Zacky's Corner. That's ZAKIS Corner. That's also my Instagram. And I've got some cool articles up right now. If you go to the San Francisco Chronicle, you can read my full review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. There's also a feature where I interviewed the creators behind the new Disney Plus series, American Born Chinese, which is based on a comic created by Jean Lewin Young, who I interviewed. And the show is developed by Kelvin Yu, who Brian used to work with on Bob's Burgers.
Mm-hmm. He was one of the writers over there. Really great writer, really great guy.
Really nice guy. Had a great discussion. And so that is at the Chronicle. Also, you can see my review of the final season of Fear the Walking Dead. That is at the Wrap. And you can also, which, by the way, did you know that show was still going, Brian?
I did not. No.
Yeah, most people, I don't think the people on the show knew it was still going. So. And at IGN, I have a piece up celebrating the 40th anniversary of the miniseries V.
Very cool.
Yeah, that turned out really well. That has my interview with Kenneth Johnson, who created that series. I had interviewed him a couple years back, and for the Nostalgia Theater podcast, and I've just been unable to edit it together. But I had all the audio, so I was able to use it for this article. I'm still hoping to put that out as an episode of the Nostalgia Theater Show. Speaking of the Nostalgia Theater Show, new episode of that one up, featuring my conversation with Glenn Greenberg, our frequent guest here on MovieFilm, talking about his new book magazine. Bookazine, if you will, called The Story of Superman, and that is in celebration of Superman's 85th anniversary. Brian, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a bit of a Superman fan.
I did.
Yeah, so you don't need to twist my arm to talk about Superman. So we had a fun discussion there.
I bought the Bookazine, and it's fantastic, and I listened to the episode, and it's fantastic.
There you go. Look at that. What more can you ask for in terms of testimonials? But Brian has no biases. If you are looking to contact us, please email us at moviefilmpodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit like on our Facebook page, facebook.com/moviefilmpodcast. Message us there. We read your comments. We read every letter. We appreciate every single one. And sometimes we read them on the show and, comment on your comments. So roll the dice. If you want to do us a real favor, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, leave a star rating. Every little bit helps. We are so close, folks. We are at like 98 reviews. Whoa. If just a few of you could write some reviews and get us up over 100, it would make me feel so very good, and I would get to show my parents that I have not wasted my life. So please make that happen. Make me happy. Make my parents happy. Come on. He's a good boy. Come on.
He's a good boy. Is that the SNL one?
Yes. Yeah. I knew you'd get it.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Leave us a review. Leave us a review. He's a good boy. Just leave him a review.
It's Adam Sandler and Chris Farley, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
On that, I will let Brian hit stop. He and I will continue talking about SNL references after we stop recording. But thanks, everybody, for listening. This has been Movie Film 269. 69, dude.
What number am I thinking of?
We'll catch you next time.
Welcome, friends, it's the Movie Film Podcast. Movie Film Podcast, enjoy the show. Zachy and Brian are talking about movies. Movie Film Podcast on the radio.